Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today, believe it or not, is December 17th, 2023. And we'd like to say a warm thank you for all of you who listen to our shows. And we hope you find today's show uh, pretty interesting and something to think about. So, we kind of merged this show as kind of a follow up to a show we did quite a bit ago called Let's Play Chess. But in general, I guess you could also say this is a bit of an energy report, what's going on, things like that as well. And again, discussions of our mindsets and how we think of things. And again, maybe considering things. Again, we always say deny the known and manifest differently, probably a conversation on that, on ill manifesting versus manifesting for your highest good or for society's highest good.
And also narratives that have come into play recently as well, association with another discussion we did called "We Are the Champions" as well, where there's different people in this chess game as well that are kind of designated the figureheads. So in that respect, so before we go any further, we should probably open the circle now. I open the circle on a true benevolence with no conflicting agendas. So, Joanna.
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in, to let them love you and nourish you and bring you to your highest good. We pray for ourselves, our friends, our family members, to let healing energies in, to let them love you and nourish you and bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence to come in now with no conflicting agendas. It could be loved ones of the audiences that are listening to show support and caring. It could be benevolent galactics, again, with no conflicting agendas, that would like to hear and lend energies, positive energies to this session, just so that we may have, again, open communication that is free of interference. And we ask that malevolence and mischievous beings who would maybe want to interfere with people's ability to hear and to listen and to contemplate some of these thoughts today, to be swept away, so that people are left in peace, so that they may join in and hear these conversations and let their soul guide them on what to do and what to listen to and how to act in society today. So, with that, and with the great blessings we send your way, we say, so be it.
Okay.
So, one of the things that we find, the situation that I think we find ourselves in, is the fine line on commenting about some of the things that are going on today, but being able to do it in a way where we are not being used to promote an agenda, not being used to accidentally promote a false narrative, but to recognize, again, as we've said plenty of times, that all these things are going on. And but again, to talk about strategies that are used and how humanity has been used historically to co-create in a manner that is not good for them, in a manner that actually only supports a few, let's say, in comparison to the totality of humanity as a whole, to be able to flourish while the rest suffer. Some of these things could be, again, inherent belief systems that really should be looked at, because some of them were put into play to give you certain reasonings to look at some of the things you're going through, and then it becomes a shame, blame, or guilt of yourself that you attribute to some of these things when it may not be that at all. So, we wish to talk about that. I think today, again, the 17th of December, 2023, everyone can look at the entire situation across the earth, the political situation, the different countries, and the different things that are going on. And some people have now been wise enough to see that some of these types of events that are going on are actually going on everywhere. Okay, different types of strategies, which is what I think is good for people to notice, because we have always said it is a much bigger picture as to the energies trying to play out, and to, what ends, of this. Is it going to be something that benefits the whole, or is it just going to be something that benefits a few? Which again has been done in the past already. So we always try to stress that we've gone down the toilet before. Do you really want to go down the toilet again? Or do we want to have something else develop, emerge from this, to have a totally new experience within society, and within, the higher, as some people would look at it, the higher galactic community, as that comes forth? How do we want ourselves represented within all of this? And in order to do that, trying to see some of the bigger pictures, taking you outside of your, maybe, your comfort zone, but taking you also outside of just seeing what's right around you, to seeing the bigger situation in your country, and to actually see the dynamics also in other countries as well, and realizing, wait a minute, something bigger is going on here. Now, many people again are innately turning to this, feels like a spiritual battle going on. I actually kind of, would definitely agree with that statement, that it is at a much higher level. Now, does it, in our, I'm going to say our, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, in our opinion, does this fall within the realm of any particular religious belief system on earth currently? We would say no, that this is something where certain topics and words could be pulled to use to describe something out of a certain belief system that currently exists. But the bigger totality of what is really gone, yes. Is it a spiritual battle? But no. Is it encompassed in one particular religious belief system to be able to explain it? We don't actually think that way.
This is made up of multiple factions, both alien and human. They're all playing chess with one another. It's like what we said in the Let's Play Chess episode, which I will attach to this one as well. We're trying to rebrand and bring back out our old episodes. It's like basically what I described in there. It was like, basically think of like Jason Bourne for an instance, and another enemy force doing the same thing. Spy versus spy, narrative versus narrative, agenda versus agenda. And it's a never ending just web of crap that continues on and on and on. In this particular case, ideologies have fallen into the mix, where it's like a shifting of the cuffs type of thing, battle of the egos, waving their wieners at one another, whatever you want to call it. Like, or as George Carlin called it, a prick waving dick fight. But that's really all it is. And in this way, people cannot be sucked into one side or the other. Politically, ideologically. I mean, even though if one person or two people stand out, remember, there's a channeling that Chadwick Boseman did a while back on our GSE this show, where he said anything public is narrative, or at least most of it. So that has stuck out in my brain since that happened. And if you look at that, take that phrase and look at anything that has been displayed, and I do mean anything from channeling to the news to insiders to stories that are being woven, even to the government revealing UFOs not that long ago. You think of that phrase with each thing you're looking at, because you're going to see an underlining like narrative start to form. You're going to put these pieces together. Okay, what story, what tale are they trying to weave, and to what ends are they trying to weave it? Just like even, and I won't mention the names of shows or anything like that, but the alien narrative, where they're always saying, oh, this craft is out of this world. I'll use that for an example. No, that's one of ours that's using alien hybrid tech capabilities. And they're trying to get people to be in awe of that, to follow the whole either fake alien invasion, or oh, this is higher than you in some capacity. Just like there was a TV show out years ago called Powerless, where you see all of these, and this was psychological, folks. where you see these human reporters, regular people watching Batman and Superman and all the other superheroes actually do their thing, but they called it powerless, meaning, oh, you have to wait on Superman, you have to wait on Batman. That was a psychological move on the cabal's part and the corporation's part to detach you from yourself. Same goes with any of these figures in this big chess game. They want you to attach your ideology or your self-worth to a particular cause, particular person, a particular narrative. And without that narrative, they want you to feel powerless or worthless in some fashion.
So in adding on to what Chris is saying, when we look at now, one of the things that we've been trying to for ourselves as well, walking that line is how do we get an idea of what is going on without, again, falling into a duality situation where we find ourselves picking a side with, again, when you do that, then your mind tends to have certain ways of thinking of the other side. Some of that.
Yeah, they're either, you see, like, say, Republican and liberal, for instance, you basically see each side as your opposing or opposite or enemy.
And with some of that comes manifesting co-creation that is hijacked by somebody else. So some of this duality is actually created by somebody, because if you get involved with that kind of duality, then they know they got you. They know they got you hooked. And then they know there's a co-creation. So one of the things that we still stand by is that it's all the same. It's just one half of the exact same coin. There's nothing that we've seen that makes us believe that that has dissipated. But what we see is more of it coming up. Okay. So instead of realizing in one area there's duality, both halves of the same coin, what we're saying is that what you're seeing is a lot of coins now being thrown up in the air with a lot of different subject matters, but the duality is still part of the same overall group that is trying to, again, cause a duality. However, you do need to see it, right? You do need to see the strategies. You do need to see these things in order to start to understand. So what I want to talk about also a little bit of today is current present moment, a few things that are going on, a few predictions that are now starting to trickle out there, and talk to you about the old ways of using people's powers to co-create or to give approval. And then what are the new ways that the energies need to coalesce to basically not allow this or to not agree or to, and how is it, how do those energies then coalesce to not allow something to happen? And so I don't think we all have a really good handle on that yet. And I think throwing up all of these different coins at once, is part of the strategy for the confusion, for the, it's just too much to think about, for the, oh, whatever, just get to some sort of peace, this type of giving up mindset as well. It is intentional to throw as much at somebody as possible in many different areas, basically waiting for you to say uncle and then just allowing whatever, they want to happen.
And make it so stressful in one area so you will allow the other. This is the political theater puppets that's going on. You're seeing that's one of the more obvious areas. The other area was also in case of the theater of puppets, when people started identifying, say, with the QAnon movement or something like that. Basically, I even heard many people or several people during that time frame back in 2020. It was basically they would call themselves an Anon. They go, "Oh, I'm an Anon. I'm an Anon." I'm like, no, you need to not put your self-worth on a cause like that. You can believe in an ideal, but they were basically putting that particular ideal on that particular cause, thinking that they're wanting sovereignty and peace on the planet and liberation from the cabal was somehow associated with the cabal's alter ego QAnon. So that's the example I use all the time. The same goes, of course, with the current thing with Republican versus liberal, extremely, a Republican, rightist, leftist, also woke, pride, all that other stuff. You're seeing it in these different areas now where people are associating their own heart space and their own mind with a particular cause. You can believe in something, but don't just put it onto an already existing narrative. That's part of the chess game that's going on right now.
Right, because if you can compartmentalize conversations
Mhm.
and everything, you can get people hooked into something and them not realizing it at all. And that's it really is still about also compartmentalization of your thoughts. Well, I can feel this way in this area, but I actually feel this way in this area. And then there's an internal conflict because, you don't realize that it's a part of what's going on. So I'm going to give a very specific example before we ask the Galactics to come in and also talk about this. One thing that we've said that many people have said that I still feel holds very, very true is the understanding that where we are and coming in for this experience that we're coming in, we're not all at the same place energetically. We're not all vibrating at the very same rate, meaning our ideas of what's important, our ideas and understanding, our encoding and decoding abilities, they're not the same throughout the world. So it would be easy for people to look at something going on in a different part of the country or the different part of the world or whatever and say, this, I don't even understand this. I can't even understand the mentality that allows this to happen. And I would say there's a good chance what you're stating is a personal truth, but we have a wide variety of vibrational abilities. I'd also say that there probably would be certain places in the world that you aren't meant to be a part of that society because of the vibration that you hold. There could be parts. Well, it's just where you are too. So there is a bit of splitting. I don't know where that line is, where the big line split is, but I can say that it would make sense that, depending on your vibrational, I'm going to call it vibrational octave that you're in, with people near to you, that again, we say that, but it is something that is true. So you have to think about, you have your vibration, you have the vibration of the society that you currently live within, you have a country, right? And the way that it vibrates. And then, you've got other countries, other scenarios, and you may have a pocket of people that are vibrating at a very different way in certain countries or certain countries that would seem totally foreign to you and you can't understand it. And I'm going to say that's okay. There's nothing wrong, but you have to understand that they are where they are. And the one thing that we've always said is that no one has a right to dictate in some senses where others are. Now, again, I'm not talking about basic humanity things. I think, again, at least in this country, we could certainly agree that we don't want to see abuse. We don't want to see a sociopathic behavior, killing and things. We do not want to see abuse. We do not want to see pedophilia as a part of the society. Be it sexual violence or this, that, and the other. But it seems to be more allowable in other countries, that it's more of it is more a part of the culture. They haven't worked their way out of some of this stuff yet. It's a hard pill to grasp, but it is a very true statement. Now, does that mean that we own something as big brothers to always fix it? I don't think it would be fixed, because we're talking not that your intention or our intention wouldn't want to see something be better, but if they're still in the Middle Ages, they're still in the Middle Ages. And you're not going to be able to walk in with your vibration necessarily and fix that society or culture.
And if you're thinking that, like somebody walking into, say, Qatar, for instance, and thinking they're going to wake that population up to their leftist agenda, what's going to happen? Those people are going to end up in jail. That's what's going to
Well,
happen.
right, and you'll follow their laws and they're gonna think you're a troublemaker and,
Yeah.
up with their head. But my point is, again, is that you have to see, first of all, and accept the fact that not everybody's in the same way. But do we have to save them from their problems?
No.
Why?
Not forced unity or forced inclusivity, but organic. That's
Right.
what you want.
So I bring this out. It's not what, people who have come in, had multiple lives, have worked past these things, and they're someplace else, wishes to see, because it just hurts to see it. And I get that. But is all of that, something that we have to step in? It doesn't work. It's why we've been into places and been into wars and we don't change things, because there is a reason, and the change is going to have to come from within when those societies are ready to do so, inclusive of all the members of those, societies. Now, can energies be lent in support, of course, for pockets of those that are starting, and hopefully the energies will coalesce, take place, and cause it? Yes. But again, there is, I think, a bit of naiveness in people because they don't understand how a lot of these energies work. And you do not have to have any shame, blame, or guilt if you decide that you're not meant to. And, that people have a right to be where they are. It's a hard thing to watch. It's a hard thing to see. It's a hard thing to understand, but there is a fact to it. Although when there are pockets of different things. Now, I say that as a whole, because within every society, again, with the agenda of some people, certain people have risen to the top of societies. And I think everybody's wondering, really, what is their energy? What are they thinking? What are they doing? Why are they, promoting so much war? Why are they wanting these things? Would they send their own kids into war? Or does it have to be somebody else's kids? And so, so you have to wonder again. And I think many people are, and many people are questioning, why are all of these people in lockstep with one another around the world? What is going on? And what happens to people who try to bring that up? The next thing I'm going to talk about, again, with the energies, are how energies can be used against you. So again, we speak about the duality, where you are being told, if you don't do this, then this will happen. If you don't do that, then this will happen. It's even to a ridiculous level what they're saying. If you don't do this, then this will happen. It's like, yeah, really. But people fall for it because they themselves currently are in a state of fear and uncertainty, a lot of chaos. And, they may accidentally lend their energies to something out of fear, and fear that they are generating by making statements. If you don't do this, then this is going to happen. And they are ridiculous statements, but I think it goes to show how much fear people have generally been put in now, that they are willing to even entertain some of these ridiculous statements that are being made, because they just want it over. They just want the peace. Now, this is known, okay? And again, that's one area that is going on. Another area that it's a fine line. I'm bothered by it a little bit, but it is a strategy that's used. It's a strategy based on something that isn't necessarily a bad thing. And that's the prediction and looking at the energies to basically see what the possibilities are with these energetic movements and what could happen. So one of the big areas, again, comes in the area of forecasting and predictions. And so people are looking, and it's coming from multiple sources now, that people are looking at the energies. And again, one of the big questions is there going to be a World War III, right? And you have people, on either side, basically saying that wouldn't do anybody any good, and other people saying we're going there, right? the interesting thing about some of these conversations is that we do have a belief system that part of the magic is you must be told what the plan is coming down the pike.
Mhm.
So because it takes the society's energy to manifest it. So the interesting thing of all of these different pieces that I have been hearing, and then I've been hearing other people report it, okay, and report it, is everyone kind of is taking this is inevitable, or this is, helpless, no one can stop
Like
it
the
stance.
Armageddon or the fake alien invasion, and that's completely false.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of it, plus, again, events around the world. The interesting thing about it is that in co-creation, if you stay neutral, or if you don't, give an opinion because you're feeling fatalistic, you've now just said yes. And I think this is the one thing I can't get across. What you should be doing is this should be the only sign, in my opinion.
Here's your sign.
This is your sign. The only sign that if you go and hear a political person, or if you go and listen to some of this stuff, or if you're watching TV, you need to create yourself your own sign to remind yourself that what you need to be sending out is this. Okay, I don't know how this is going to show.
It's on our screen. It looks backwards, like it's saying "on" with a backwards "n," but it really says "no."
It says no, because the one thing that I have not heard any of these people broadcasting information about this is them saying, no, I don't want this to happen. No, I don't agree that this should be happening in society. Our society doesn't need to be sending anyone else into war. Our society does not need to be contributing to war. Our society is beyond that. So we should not be participating in lower frequency vibrational types of ways of dealing with things. And what they choose to do over there is, is them. But no, the answer is no. We're not going to do this. The answer is no. I'm not in agreement with these political statements that you are making as to where society is going to go. No, I am not in agreement that all the farms should be brought up, and and whatever your nasty plans are from that. No, I am not in agreement that you're going to start calling insects another name and putting them all into our products, and we can't have beef anymore. And hell no, I am not going to stop breathing, because now you're putting out ridiculous
Your breathing is causing global warming.
That your breathing is causing global warming. No, it is not. But I'll tell you what I believe is your jet planes and all of the stuff that you are doing, okay, which is way worse than anything, So no one that I have seen out there is putting out or mentoring, I would say, the energies of what you need to be putting out as response to some of these things that are now coming at you, telling you what some of the goals are and what they want to do, and what do you think about it. Because again, if you have no response to it whatsoever, or if you feel fatalistic to it, you have said yes. And this is how the energies coalesce to allow it. So you need to go back. I still go back to the one example many years ago where, where there was, let's call it a win, when these children playing soccer went into the caves. They wanted to just explore the rains. They were in rainy season. The rains came. They were trapped within the caves, and they should have drowned because of the rainy seasons. But it went around the world. Everybody in the world did not want to see those children harmed. Put out the collective, I cannot stand this. This cannot happen. All of a sudden, as it never occurs, the rainy season stopped, and they were able to save those children. Unexplainable what happened. But what happened is the collective consciousness said, no, I will not agree to these children's death. No, we're further along with that as society. We have to save these children. And it occurred. No different than when a bunch of people may be looking at somebody who has cancer and they all collectively say, no, I am not going to lose my friend. No, my friend is going to be healthy. And you see what people consider miracles occurring when what it is this the co-collection of energies that are now supporting something and basically a definite, this is unacceptable. What is not happening is that people do not understand enough about how energies work to understand how important they are, to understand. And when we say this word, no, it's meant with every fiber of every ounce of your being, and there is no other choice. So this is when we talk about co-creation, when people see it so straightly and so firmly, it really is how it is. The other thing that is not going on, because one of the issues out there in society is how do you divide and conquer basically so that you can allow an agenda to come through that no one will notice. That is happening now too. Of course, with the COVID or whatever, people began to be separated. What's going on now is you're seeing minority situations, small situations going on that are being blown up to be much bigger than they are. Many people walking around society are decent human beings. But if all you're watching on TV is you're seeing how these other agendas are coming out, then you become afraid to talk to people around you, which if you would talk to them, you'd find out they're probably more like-minded. So what does this allow? If they can make you think, oh, all these crazies, let's say, are out there, because that's how you'd be thinking about it, you would want to isolate yourself from them. You don't want to partake. So you become isolationist. You don't partake in events. You don't sit down. You talk about nothing but the blue sky. You become nothing serious because you don't know how to talk anymore, because you don't know, because you believe they're all people that are going to turn on you, right? So that's been pretty
Or
effective.
triggered or what have you.
Right. And that's been done intentionally to make you feel that way. So there are a lot of things that can be pushed through easily when you do not talk to your fellow human beings, and thus you don't realize that all you guys are thinking alike. One of them is stealing elections. So you would tend to believe that how all of these Looney Tunes could look this way and act this way and do this thing. And you're like, I just don't even belong in this world anymore. But you're all thinking that, but yet you won't talk to one another to realize that it is a ruse that is going on. So these are the types of strategies that are actually, in my opinion, working very well. As far as if I had to say to the dark side, oh yeah, yep, I can see you got people in fear. Yep, you got people not talking to one another. Yep, you're able to smooth through a lot of things because people aren't paying attention, and you've got them so much in fear. So you have to get out of fear and you have to start talking to one another so that you can see some of these things. And you have to put out this that you don't agree with an agenda.
Yes.
Where these types of things can happen.
Either you're fixing things energetically or physically or both. If you're doing none of these things, or if you believe or none of even the shadow work where, you think, people always, got annoyed when I said, well, you got to improve this and do this and do this. People, well, I don't have time for that. I have kids. I don't have time for that. I have work. I mean, I don't know what people thought I was suggesting, like picking up a sword and do what. But what I was suggesting was changing the one thing that was holding them back, or changing the one thing energetically that was holding them back. I wasn't suggesting they go into battle like He-Man, but with some clients that I always said, well, no, you're using your kids or someone as a bullet shield, or you're using the job as an excuse to not change something. And all you have to do is take a couple minutes out of the day even to reflect on that, or to change something energetically, or even, as she said, to say, no, this does not take much right here. If you are not saying that, no, you are saying yes.
And again, neutrality to them means yes.
Yes.
So you must, now this is what we're talking about. You must act. Now, people are, again, if you showed up and whatever, it would be, to me, it'd be great to see, basically this be the only poster that is there. And it's like when somebody's saying and you're listening and listening and listening, then they say something, then everyone throws up the paddle. You know what I mean? And then everyone around them gets to see how everyone around them actually feels. And you're going to realize, oh my God, we're really all alike. So it's an effective way. And let me tell you something, they will feel that energy. And so, and it will be scary to them.
Yeah.
That energy will feel very scary to them and they will feel it. No different than what we talk about when you basically can feel somebody coming in the room and either the room lights up or the energy sucked out, or you can feel a very serious tone. You feel these energies. This is what we're saying. Right now, collectively around the world is the time that no needs to be said very firmly. And then what do? Then what you do is you co-create what you do want. You model the behavior you want to be in your world. You say, this is what I want. This is how I want interactions to go. This is the respect that I am doing that I want to see in the world. I'm teaching my children that type of respect. I'm showing it within my community. And you model and do the behavior in where you're at of what you want. Do you really want everyone to close themselves off in their own doors? I can't, it's crazy to me when I look at back now at some of the sci-fi and see that people were living in these little teeny capsule like apartments and everyone was afraid of one another and this dystopian stuff. And I'm going, oh my God, that actually is where they're going with all of this.
Yeah.
And you will own nothing and be happy. And you won't own nothing and be happy. You will not be happy, but you will be resigned to a fate that, unfortunately, if you do not put your energies to something else, you will have co-created it with them. And I'm sorry to be that blunt, but it's a true statement.
You're being used to co-create for them if you're not saying no to them.
Right. And so it needs to be no, and then it needs to be you spending a few days, a little bit of time during the day of seeing the society that you want. Again, unity within the world does not mean we all share the same culture, but there is a baseline of understanding and a baseline of what is deemed acceptable or not. And then you agree to disagree, and people respect the boundaries of the different societies and places. That is more of what allows a world unity. It is unnecessary to have a worldwide government, one government running it. And so, you have a choice even moving forward when you think about going out and meeting all of these races and people that every single one of us now know exists. Okay. Everybody in your heart of hearts know it's real. So it's real, but then how do you want to be since you've allowed yourselves to be the doormat to your own government and affluence that those who think they are better than you that are trying to run things, do you want to be a doormat to all of that out there? Or do you want to be seen and respected? And so you must demand it, and then you must show it in your day-to-day life amongst one another. I telling you that the idea of suspending the active pursuant to law. So a lot of people are like, I'm going to give into what they say because of the fact that, this has gone too far. Well, what happened and what went too far is not enforcing the laws that exist. That is what happened. Mm-hmm. So the laws exist. So before you start giving up some of your other rights, you need to start saying, wait a minute, what I really want is to see the laws that are on the books enforced. That's probably what you want, but they're suspended that to make your life more crazy, to see what else can be taken from you. That is a part of the strategy. That is a part of this chaos and what's going on. And you got yourself so bamboozled, you don't realize that the laws are already on the books. And what you really want is no, I'm not giving up anymore. What you're going to do is do what you're supposed to be doing, and you're going to start enforcing the current laws. I'm not giving more. I'm not giving up. I'm not doing these things you need to do. We're using all of this in the context of not trying to do a for or against, because we're not talking for and against. What we're talking is, what do you want to see in the society that you are in? And so, and then how do you take the information again? Because as you've not heard from me, is I haven't said a political party one way is the right way, one way is the wrong way. I haven't said that. I haven't pointed to one or another. I haven't done any of that. So this is how you walk that line between them, seeing that they are both part of the same coin. Many of them are. And so playing their roles to get to see what they can get out of you. But what you have to do is see through that, not participate in that, but be so strong on your intention of how you want society to be and what you will and will not agree with. That is, again, a part of who you are. They need you to co-create what they want. Is that really what you want?
They need you more than you need them. So.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And remember, they are the minority. They are a smaller minority than you realize. So that it's always been that case. The small always controlling the larger amounts. You outnumber them. And we're not suggesting some kind of insurrection. I want to point that out. On an energetic level, yes, and that's what the word no means.
But this is an energy game.
Yeah.
And that's what
it's a spiritual war.
Yeah. It is. And people do not realize it truly is an energy game. So no, we're not saying get yourself in trouble. Now, that being said, are there potentially going to be places where those souls came in to experience some issues, and they're going to make it manifested and make it happen? Yes. So, where skirmishes and things happen in a small, in different areas, but we're talking about overall, right? Not manifesting something globally and not agreeing to the global type of agenda. That if you knew, we talk to a lot of people, and if you really dive deep into trying to see what's going on in other countries, you're going to see the exact same thing going on. And so there is a organization, whatever you want to call it, that is trying to promote the agenda amongst all the, I believe, again, there is a goal that they want to see, so that's presented that way into when we do become a galactic. Don't agree with that. They're not, and so if you don't agree with that, you better be putting that out there now, because that is the reason all of this other stuff is happening.
Yeah, you have the GF out there that is basically the macro to the micro, which is the cabal. So think of that way, New World Order. Their requirements out there would have been one world order. If you don't want that, put that out there. And their politics have to adapt to and change to that. So it's better that we create our own little federation versus what they have. But the fact that they're out there, the idea is to change that dynamic by changing the dynamic here. So, yeah.
Right. And so just remember, I would suggest heavily everyone make their own little sign. They have it with them when they're either listening to podcasts or whatever, to remind themselves to interject what you feel about it, and to make sure that you do, and very strongly. If you don't agree with something, then you better be putting that energy out there. And then again, in a very quick period of time, you can also reply, no, but this is what I want to see in your mind. And our minds are amazing computers that work very, very fast. We're not talking this has to be done over a lot of periods of time. You can normally, within 5 seconds, make your will be known, but you better mean it. It better not be, no, like question mark. No, this is firm, committed. This is how I feel about this.
This is also like with dark entities. I always tell people, don't say, please leave my house. No, now is the term for that. Also, no is what that starts with. So, yeah, I always tell people that, if you're allowing something in your home, be it a ghost, be it an entity, anything like that, if you're not saying no, it's seeing your complicity or your neutrality as a yes to be invited into your house. That also works with that too. Now, do some things come in your house that aren't invited? Yes, but also it's just like with the COVID thing, whereas they needed mass consent to make that work. Either by complacency or neutrality, or people outright saying yes by just being, naive. That's just how this works, folks. And if you see me doing this, I do apologize, but I have to continue to do this during the show. A little bit of a cold going on. So I think we're at a good spot here. If you see me kind of lean or anything like that, that's what's going on here. So, all right, let's see here. Let's see. I know we have uh, Isaac. You wanted to talk? Oh, you want to do it? Okay. All right. Hmm? Somebody else here? I heard somebody go, seriously? No, that might be somebody making fun of him. I don't know. But I just heard another voice. Uh, nope, just him. Okay. He basically went some retard said that I don't know who it would be. I don't see anybody else, but I just heard it. So, okay. Usually it means it's fine. Probably one of his brothers or something. So all right. Give me 2 seconds here. Of course, it would choose when I notice when energies start to get going. If you have a head cold, make sure to do this audio at that time. GIC one time, they turned on the camera and yeah, I was covered in crap. So no, it's the energies will vibrate at such a fast rate that it drains any garbage you have there. So you're going to be covered in snot if you do channeling. So just so you know, that is an effect of the energetic movements. So either do audio or you have to have a toilet paper roll nearby like I do. So just be warned if you do this kind of work. So uh, that there's a flip side to the coin or consequences to that a little bit when you're sick. So Isaac, he says yes, snot ball. We'll do this. Okay. No, you can't pass it on to if they're in a different vibration. Maybe on occasion you can, but not this. So. Mm. Depends on the vibration, depends on who and what. Okay. All right. And he's basically telling me viruses can pass between the energetic lines too, on occasion. Vibrational lines. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Through the crystal, please. Something away here. Benevolent Isaac only with no conflicting agendas. I had thought about actually energizing his head enough to where it drained everything at once, but I am deciding against that. Which you can do that if you conjure enough within the confines of the sinuses. You can actually will to heal that, and healing it means it drains. So it gets out of the system and you heal and purge the virus. That's what was going on GIC when he was doing that time. The race in question did not want any human contagions even leaching across, even in a tiny amount, because they were anal retentive. So they decided to drain everything and surprise the hell out of it. So I can do the same, but I am not going to do this since he is on camera at this point in time. Sticking a tissue up his nose is good enough. So, in this particular chess game that you find yourself in, including that conversation as well, which is still accurate, not so much the channeler at the end, I must say, but in this particular way, any narrative that you're seeing out there has an underlying yield to it. And you remember them saying the yield, which means there's a smattering of shit inside of each bit of information, something that is part of an active narrative. An example that is currently out there is the UFO agenda, where they say it's out of this world, but it's government stuff, folks. 95% of it is ours. Somebody said 80%, but that was a little too conservative. In this way, no pun intended. Political narratives, you're automatically latching to it, and also the ascending into 5D narrative. Oh, you're going to go poof into energy and lose your identity, and why would you want to do that? That is part of that. That is detaching you from self, from individuality, and grounding. So that's part of that yield. New Age detaching you from anger. That's more like Jedi Gray Order, where you have to integrate and balance as you go along. So they are attempting to show this in shows and whatnot. Now, it is important to remember anything that divides is divide, conquer, and control. Any narrative, no matter how seemingly good, yes, it's good to take the bits and pieces and move along with those, but do not, as he said, attribute your self worth and self identity to a cause. So saying that you are nothing without a cause. No, you should be something with that cause. It's like the scene in Spider-Man where he says he's nothing without the suit. It's exactly the same premise. You're putting your self-identity on that, but there's also the good way, like Batman saying that is his self-identity. So there is a difference there, depending on why that soul came in. Any narrative, as Chadwick Boseman said in his channeling, uh, anything public is narrative and it is susceptible to the yield. There are very few exceptions to this. There are wild cards out there. There are those that are outside of this, but it's very much like your Babylon 5, where the news always had its distracted narratives in there until that regime was overthrown and you saw the real press saying that they had been tortured, captured, everything, that they were basically displaying the truth completely with no yield. That's essentially what it would take, but energetically, you can accomplish that very thing. And so I will just go straight into it.
So one of the things that I think is very difficult for people to truly comprehend is the multi pockets of people at different vibrational levels, them within themselves, within their communities. Just literally, let's just say at a country level or stuff, that you really do have that on this earth. So can you just speak to that a second?
The country level of
The country level, they're vibrational. Like when we look at things, how can they be doing that over there? How can they do these things? When you look at some of the warring places or different places, I don't even understand how they can think that way. But it is true that they do think differently.
yes, say Qatar or the Middle East, for instance, as he pointed out very aptly, those areas of the planet were conquered over and over and over again, giving the people very little chance to evolve out of some of those mindsets. Some were held back intentionally by different alien races running hedge bets. Other ones were running false flags. In the case of the Germans, for instance, towards World War II, they were sped up in an area that they became the supposed master race through the 100 Years' War, for instance, as he said, aliens would run false flag operations to build their ego up, throwing the fight so that it built their ego up. The Chinese, it happened too in some occasions, so they could become some of the backup army, let's just say. But in other areas, they were intentionally held in a medieval or Middle Ages limbo, but also given extreme advanced technology because it was shared planet wide when certain advancements were publicly made. So therefore, they were given this as an example of very little spiritual base given high technology. This is why the Forbosi, when they wanted to advance a race, they wanted to make sure they already had an existing spiritual foundation, not a religious one, but one that was encompassing in nature, energetics, the whole bit. And then they offered to help advance them. This is essentially the problem. If you go the other direction, what you're seeing is you get transhumanistic in some cases, or you get this. Now there are very few exceptions of the transhumanistic, where some people have a spiritual base as well. But in those parts of the world, they were intentionally held back in a medieval type of slumber, so also certain races could hide within that and also continue to control the people like they did in the Middle Ages. This is what is essentially your seeing.
So, and again, there will not be any instant poof where all of a sudden everybody's aligned to the same
Nope.
frequencies. And that's
No
important.
grand awakening, folks.
No,
Nope.
no, it's not going to happen. So people, you just have to kind of accept that this is what it is. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to understand where they are, you know, but again, in co-creating a unity, which is really what I want us to do, is talk about how to get out of the old ways of manifesting and co-creating, and how do you co-create better? Because again, we're seeing it and you need to see it, but you need to stop co-creating how they want. It's
Quit
okay.
giving your power away to different people and reclaim it.
Exactly. So again, it's okay to say that, I wish, and that's where we cut down and we say we wish people their highest good. What we mean by highest good is we want you to evolve and get and acquire and do things on your soul level that you wanted to have done. And so again, if a society is being held back, if it's being done for nefarious types of reasons, then you want that floodgate to reopen for them. So, but again, this instantaneous, we're all going to be at the exact place. No, but this particular experience was never meant to have that type of one vibrational energy on it. Although we can agree, I think we can agree, Isaac, that in other Earths and other worlds, they may only have one in general vibrational frequency going on, but that's not us.
Earth is unique, and there are other nexus worlds within worlds type of scenarios. Planets are usually the openings to a dimensional space. Kind of think of a portal, think of a wormhole like in the movie Interstellar, where they said a wormhole was like a sphere. They were hinting at also a planet being a dimensional nexus to a nesting doll of different dimensional spaces. That is still essentially a portal or a wormhole at that particular way. Earth is an extremely populous one. And at no point, with all the seedings that took place here, they call it the grand experiment, but I disagree with that terminology. It's there was groups of colonists here to see if they could make a communal type of thing work pre-Orion Wars, long pre-Orion Wars, along with the Titans that were already here, and it was working for some time. But they knew something else would eventually occur. With that said, they were in an organic. Anytime there was later on in history an organic world unity would take place, like the Tartarian world unity. I'll use that as an example. The people, were always overthrown by somebody who was controlled outside of them. At that stage, they were not controllable because they were organically unified. So therefore, some outside source would try to break them up either through mental insurrection, like with Atlantis, or with Tartaria, it was just an outright just carpet bombing of crap. The same went with Atlantis too, I suppose. In this particular way, if you come up with an organic unity versus a new world order, that's not necessarily appealing to certain forces out there. They want one leader to talk to. They don't want a bunch of people that they have to get to know. Let's just put it that way. To each his own, I suppose, but they don't see it that way. They want to be able to have a like mind, be the head, rule of law. That's it. And that is not an option for Earth.
No, because again, that's not who we are, and that's not this expression and what's going on this planet. It's a shame to think that, but I do believe that mindset is there, that obviously they would be willing to prune the planet down to only the like-minded folks who agreed to that agenda.
They tried, but it hasn't worked.
Right. And well, I guess, in my opinion, they're still continue to try, but it's not working. So I think, we're getting to the end of 2023, and already the conversations are coming up about 2024. So again, when you think about the fear-based types of predictions out there, we have to be honest about them. Humans in the United States have been prepped that there would be some sort of sleeper cell terroristic type of attacks now because of the flooding of what's coming in through Mexico or whatever, that everyone's like on edge. No one said no. Everyone is just like on edge as fatalists that this is now, apparently going to happen. Everyone is now on edge because they don't trust the political system, and they believe something in there is going to happen to trip things up from the way that they want to see the country go. And instead of saying no, they're actually, again, another fatalist type of, acceptance to some of these things that, I'm like, wait a minute, this is how you co-create poorly for
Mm.
yourself.
And people started to back away from, say, like the Russia-Ukraine thing. So what did they throw at you? They threw all this other crap at you. Anything they started to back away from COVID. That's where the Russia-Ukraine thing came in. It was layer upon layer of distraction, hoping that you would promote a World War III. Does it mean that there wouldn't be some conflicts in some areas? No, of course, that's asinine. Of course, to say there wouldn't be would equally be as asinine as mass war, because different people have different choices of how to handle certain things, and it doesn't mean they're bad either. So people are under this impression like mass awakening. If you're a warrior, you're bad. No, people are in the lanes they're meant to be in to accomplish certain things in the background in places you've never heard of, in battles you've never heard of, winning wars and battles you've never heard of. Just remember that is happening right now, and I'm not promoting the whole white hat, black hat thing. Watch out for that too. Excuse me. Give me a second. Energies are stirring up his little thingy he's got going on here. So, and I say that in the truest sense.
You know, I did say to him before, are you sure you can do this?
Certain energies will, like if you have a virus in your system, and this includes in society, if you introduce a particular energy, it will automatically start to stir people up, thinking either it's something is bad because it's a faster moving vibration. Well, you'll hear people say in a particular way, "Oh, there's got to be something wrong with this. There has to be something wrong with this." They can't be. They're not being tangible about it because they don't know what it is. Just like if they see a faster moving vibrational person at a store, for instance, they'll look at that person like they're an alien or like they're a bad guy. Just like during the COVID thing, the people that were in the know were looked at as conspiracy theorists and enemies. In this same respect, it's not only the splitting of the densities, but it's a vibration. Also, you'll have people approach you that uh, will want to spill the beans on their personal life as well because they're picking up on the vibration. Him and his mother encountered this for a very, very long time. Other people can relate to this. You'll start to see that more and more and more as this goes on. You'll also see a rapid splitting of the densities, both in business and in personal life. Quite a bit, in fact. People will be more open and true to themselves. This does not mean a mass awakening. This just means people will begin to be in touch more with their true self after a while. People have mistaken this for some mass awakening. This doesn't mean it happens to everybody. This doesn't mean that people will doesn't mean people will get away from computers. This doesn't mean that people will suddenly be all in a spiritually mindset or base or anything like that. Far from it. It just means that they will not be fighting each other or killing each other today. To quote Star Trek. In this instance, it just means we won't hurt each other, kill each other, or disagree to fight each other today. We will agree to disagree.
And that's really important. So the one thing you saw me doing with my little homemade sign to say no, to actually put that out. I don't agree. This is wrong. So can you talk a little bit about those energies and those coalescing type of energies?
Yes, when you say no to any of these agendas out there, or if you say true benevolence with no conflicting agendas, it's essentially the same. You're essentially refining that down. When you're saying no, just like in the Return of the Archons Trek episode, where the AI-ridden people were basically saying, "Oh, you do not simply understand the question," and then Kirk says, "No, we understand perfectly." We said no. That was a premise Gene Roddenberry was trying to include of how to fight these things. It begins with the no foundation. If you're just sitting like a bump on the log doing absolutely nothing, some people say you're a waste of space, but he would say this, but I'm just saying, well, okay, but I'm just saying that you have to not be complicit with what's going on. You have to pay attention. I know there's a lot of mind control out there right now, but paying attention to your own true personality traits, your own environment, your own thoughts, even if you do anything else but fight narratives that are in your head, you're still saying no at that stage. It doesn't mean you're automatically instructing against the government. That's what people automatically, their thought trains go, that it's going to be some violent insurrection. The only time something like that would happen is if they tried to declare martial law for whatever reason. It does not behoove them to do this. It's just like in Hunger Games when the president or Donald Sutherland's character said ruling through fear would create an equal good resistance on the other side. So they ruled through hope. That's what you're seeing. They're ruling through hope with a carrot and a stick. This is what you have to pay attention. Oh, the hope that it's going to get better. So you just sit, hope, and pray and wait for somebody to save you. Nobody's going to do that. You have to do that yourselves by saying no.
So again, when we talk about and we say you have to do something, you can't just again sit there and be a lump of the log. But we're not trying to overwhelm people by saying, you know, you have to go out and march on Washington or march on your capital or do anything like that. I just want again another perspective on how people can easily incorporate this into their lives, a proactive now approach to their living and making these decisions.
Okay, just like he saw in his read today with the young lady that basically said she walked her own path. This is basically the start when you are yourself, you know exactly who you are, falling into something that is outside the narrative or discovering if somebody is holding you back or under your boot or thumb. But an abuse situation in a even if that person doesn't mean what they are doing, in some cases they do, some cases they don't. It could be out of a place of love, like with the Buddha story, where he wanted to shield the prince Siddhartha Buddha in the beginning of the little Buddha story. Kind of similar. There are those cases too, where they weren't independent. He wasn't independent. Be able to walk on your own 2 feet, despite who around, or even if it's someone you love that's around, be able to walk on your own 2 feet. This is a way to do it. The bad guys will try to find that weakness to where they will try to take resources away. They will try to do anything to make sure that you are not accomplishing these things. Don't be also resigned to a decay in not only yourself or society. Don't be resigned to thinking that it's some basically some glory to God type of situation. Thy will be done. Do not give away your will. This is actually the first step. Agreeing to disagree. Do not give away your will. Do not give away your power. Walking that path, even in your own regular life. If you're in situations like that, that is also the first step. Walking that continuous path, things will start to fall more into place. Now, is there overage? Yes, but you will recognize those bits and pieces of overage as you go along. They will be like icebergs in the way of an open sea. And they can be scooted aside if you recognize what they are.
Well, good. So again, I just am going to leave it here because I don't like to overwhelm people and I don't like to leave them with things that they cannot do. But again, I think if you start to do these things and I have to encourage it, and again, talk to the people around you, find out that you're more like-minded than you think. And then, agree to disagree, model the behavior that you want to see worldwide is very important, I believe.
Yes. And just know your own thoughts well enough to know when you're being manipulated. You start doing these things, and also he likes to convince the bad guys he's mentally insane. He's accomplished this, but there are also ways of doing this on the flip side of the mirror as well that also work. So I will leave you all with this. Snot nose here is just starting to wear out, so I will take my leave. So thank you, everybody. Bye bye now. Uh, there was only so long he could push that aside for whatever reason, even though he's right here. But I think in that joining, when he stays too long, he could actually contract it. So it's like, so he was like, nope, like this. So nope, you have a virus. I'm get away from me, kind of thing. So that's how some people act, and you will get that reaction from people the more you energetically change too. They're going to be kind of like this, and they won't know why. You know how many times I've heard, when I'm setting up something or doing something that improves the energy, some people look at me and the literal words they've said is, there's got to be something wrong about this. There's got to be a proper channel you can go through. There's got to be someone you can talk to, ask. You're always going to hear the thing about proper channels. There's no such thing. That is a program. I'm not saying break the law. I'm basically saying there's no such thing as a proper channel. You are the proper channel as far as those energetics go. and that change goes. So I just want to actually state that. So I don't know if you have anything else to add, Joe.
I hope you guys found this to be interesting, and I hope it's giving you a lot to think about yourself, your approach to life. Again, know who you are so that you know what is not you. And then again, model the behavior you want. Make sure you are actively saying no to agendas that you do not want to be a part of this earth. And, start building the community around you in the way that you've envisioned the world to be. So with that, we send great, great blessings to you. And always, always we send out the energies that are just for your highest good.
Yes, thank you, everybody. I now close this circle within true benevolence with no conflicting agendas. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Welcome, everyone, to the lifting for May 23rd, 2017. I am Christopher Stephen Jacobs, and along with my co-hosts Joanna Michaels and my mother, Katrina Schaff, joining us from Arizona, we are so happy you are all here joining us tonight. We hope you have read our blog for tonight, Let's Play Chess, and we will add a lot more tonight to this discussion. Please visit our website at thelifting2017.wixsite.com/thelifting. There is a lot of there to see. As Joanna said last week, I would like to take a quick second for all who are listening to me now and in the future and would like to schedule a session with me. I have grown to the point where I have had to ask Joanna to assist me with my calendar of appointments, so I need everyone to go through the lifting email to request appointments. I know I am on Facebook and have a private email, but I cannot keep up with all of the Facebook posts and emails that come to me anymore. I have been trying to tell folks to go through the lifting email address via the lifting website since January, but haven't followed my own rules at times and have then either missed it or double booked appointments. For those few that this happened to, I am very sorry. It bothers me greatly when this occurs, and I do not want to see it happen any longer. So please go through the lifting website for appointments. If you ask me on Facebook, I am just going to tell you to go through the website. That way Joanna can assist and help me in an orderly to order my calendar up better. So now on to the show. For those with us live tonight, you'll be able to share and ask questions if we have time. We really feel it is important to make these shows more than 1 hour, no more than 1 hour. So right now everyone is on mute. If you have a question and we have time, you can get onto the question queue by pressing *6, and then you will be asked again if you want to ask a question. Then you press 1. We will answer the questions in the order received. We are trying hard not to go over an hour on these shows, so if for some reason time runs out, please send any question to us at thelifting2017@gmail.com, and we will answer them on our Q&A shows. Our next Q&A show is May 25th. That's this Thursday. So let's get started. But first, as always, we want to have an opening affirmation and blessing. Okay, this one, actually, let me see. May everyone now and in the future be blessed, and may all of you see truth beyond the game, the truth beyond the game. There is more to everything than right and wrong. And I wrote that one. And now, on to tonight's topic. What I'm about to tell you are a few dreams and visions that I had that depict us as chess pieces rather than sovereign beings. These is going to be a series of dreams and visions and a little bit of memories in there as well. This is the very first one. Joanna, myself, and an old woman were running from military and police in what at first appeared to be a black car. But as we drove along, we noticed that it was capable of flying. Before this happened, however, we were pinned in by police vans and cars in a back alleyway, excuse me. The old woman bragged about calling them, saying she felt we were up to no good and that we deserved to get caught for breaking the law. This was the typical pre-programmed, quote-unquote, Good Samaritan response indicative of what the Matrix movie described as someone fighting to defend a false system. As we ascended a bit in altitude, I grabbed the woman by the arm and yelled to a computer to open the airlock, as if this car, quote-unquote, was capable of spaceflight. The computer advised against it, but I insisted it do so. It followed instructions, and I pulled her into a cage-style gondola-style platform. I noticed we were hitting the tops of trees as I threatened to throw her out. This is where it ended. The way this fits in tonight's theme, well, is because this depicts the for and against. How it does this is this. It actually breaks it up into 3 parts. 1, the cabal bad guys. 2, the old woman. And 3, us. The cabal part is the dark. The version of us resisting is light and or defense. And the old woman is programming through good intentions, quote unquote. This all turning into a 3-pronged harvest for the AI because all sides not only felt they were right, but it brought about a lot of anger and pride, meaning that as the cabal pushed, we pushed, and the old woman's Good Samaritan programming kicked in, making the energy ripe for the harvesting. Excuse me. So, this was my dream. Maybe the others were not real, so they had lunch on me, so to speak. But a cabal family member could have a similar dream, or a member of the public have a Good Samaritan passionate dream. And then their perspective would be putting out their energy, and they would be the lunch. So I wouldn't even be surprised if there weren't 3 actual people around the world having this same dream, each playing their part for an actual 3-course meal. That on the bad guys, that is. This is the tactic used. All 3 of us are pawns in this energy collection dream. So, in the game of chess, light and dark, this tactic will continue. Just look for it. All right, here is the second example. This was more or less a vision. When I first started looking into the solar system, one of the very first groups that I ever spoke to was Darkfleet, or the Resistance. At first, they seemed very kind and very well-intentioned after they were allowed back into the solar system. However, as I worked with them more and more, I began to realize that they were not seeing the bigger picture or grand scheme of things. They were so hell-bent on taking down the cabal that they did not even realize that they were pawns to the AI harvesters, the same as the cabal. What proved this to me was when I came across a female agent, telepathically of course, that was attempting to recover some sort of briefcase embedded in a concrete wall somewhere in the underbelly of Chicago. When I asked as to what she was doing, she only stated that she was on a mission and told me not to interrupt her again. I traced the mission back and found a cabal agent doing the exact same thing, but on the opposite side of the planet. They were basically both playing the exact same role against one another, neither one gaining any ground. Think of it this way. Imagine watching the Bourne movies, that's like Jason Bourne, Bourne Identity, and Bourne Supremacy, and all those, and the plot had no end. It just kept going and going, round and round, both sides pulling covert moves upon covert moves against each other. This is what I found out Darkfleet, the Resistance, to be. Nothing more than one half of the for and against stratagem devised by the AI and Draco forces to collect energy. This realization actually hurt because I myself was actually part of it in the backstage. I had to come to terms that I was played and gave a lot of energy to this chess game. This is a hard concept to get, and even a harder one to accept, that we have all fallen for it. But must take an honest look at ourselves and be willing to undo some of our own behavior or programming to stop it. All right, this is the third example. And my last example for tonight is another fantastic way the darkness or AI sphere beings will try still to feed off of others' energies. This is the concept that all Cabal members, no matter how high up or low level, are going to be put on trial. This is yet another way of riling up the people against the Cabal. There will be a continued and potentially increased demand being put out there for this, all in the attempts to afford themselves, the AI sphere beings or darkness, a huge energy harvest at the expense of their own minions. Granted, they, the Cabal, are evil, but the idea is to not engage the for and against game. This way, it starves the AI gamers out of energy. I have been told over and over again that there are not going to be mass arrests of Cabal members, though they do have to have the to the last breath mentality. There is not going to be an all-out war against them, because it would only lead to an energy harvest of the darkness, allowing them to maintain control. To overt or sidestep the for and against game, Valiant Thor and his people, along with many other good guys, are on a constant basis removing the overage or Cabal people that just will not bend. The same goes with overly hostile resistance people. So this means allows for no one to feeding the beast. However, pay attention. You should have begun and will continue to see those known to have been high-ranking Cabal either passing on or just seemingly disappearing from the game board. Several have left in the past few months and will continue. To sum it up, these examples, please consider this. Keep the hero's quest in the movies. We need to get out of the for and against or victim-savior mindset. Now with that, I will pass this over to my mother, Katrina, who has a pre-prepared statement for this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Please understand that what I say tonight is my opinion. As Chris and Joanna mentioned in this week's blog, this game of chess is played out with the dark and the light as opponents. At times we are evenly matched, and at other times the game is a runaway by one side. The dark in our minds always seems to have the upper hand. The light battles strongly for a time, and the sides become equal. Then one side backs off because of fear and repercussion, and the game is lost by the side that feels they cannot win. So the question is, when do you take charge and use the gifts, the tools, and the power of the light to put an end to this seemingly endless game? The issues we all have are very similar. How many of you have said, just when my head was above water and I was feeling good about my life, I was hit by one thing or another. It was like it was a plot against me to not be happy or feel secure. It is a plot, and it is exactly the plan of the negative forces to make you feel frightened, unsure, picked on, and beaten down. When things are going well, we sit around waiting for the next shoe to drop. With our anticipation of something going wrong and being anxious about what is in store for us, we continually create events that ruin our success and happiness. We worry about money, insurance, health care, tuition, debt, needing a car, or paying rent. No matter what the issue, they and we push ourselves in the direction to lose our will, our money, our jobs, and our homes, and most importantly, our will to win. We buy into the game, and they play all the right moves to see that we lose. About a year ago, my family moved to Arizona, and this was our dream, and we could not have been happier. Once we moved in, one thing after another hit. One appliance after another broke down or died. The furnace went out in the middle of the winter. Our water heater blew a hose and flooded the living room. The IRS nailed us with tax credits. There were some health issues, and so on and so on. We felt it was a plot to keep us from living this dream. Was it a plot, or did we think, this is too good to be true, and when does the crap hit the fan? We are so used to not winning in life, we create issues for ourselves. At times, it is not us at all. The negative forces do not want us happy, and they do not want us to win. Here's where you make the choice to not let them win. You have to become a warrior and fight back with everything you have got. For me, it was time to fight back and not buy into this game any longer. The division in this country right now is an example of this chess game. No one wants to work together to resolve anything. Everyone thinks they are right, and no one wants to bend. We are divided on almost all issues in our lives. Issues that put us down or in fear are thrown at us right and left. We watch TV with commercials and shows that play on our nerves, our fears, and we constantly are being told in all the medias we're not good enough and we need to live at a standard we cannot and should not comply with. They tell us to eat this, don't eat that, you need this to be complete, or buy this to be fulfilled. The shows and news become so real they can make us dwell on all the things that could go wrong. They're all distractions and shoes that are dropping to make us walk away and not fight for our lives. It is in everything you watch and read. Maybe we should stop watching and reading these distractions and just focus on our well-being. The lifting has touched on these issues in past shows. We keep telling you to be your authentic self and not to listen to things that do not serve you. We tell you to follow your truth in your heart and to create a future you want and not to buy into the distractions that steal your will, your strength, your success, and most of all, your happiness. When we started the lifting, someone asked me if I was scared to speak my truth, and wasn't I putting a target on my back? Weren't we all putting targets on our backs? I had just talked to someone that worked for the government, and I spoke my truth about the government in great detail. And the next day I was looking out the kitchen window, and 2 men in black were in a car looking at me. My first instinct was to go into fear. I wondered if what I was doing was going to endanger my life and my family's life. By the third time I saw the men in black, I just flipped them off. I feel they are more in fear of what I might say than I am in what they might do. I had to look at myself and decide whether or not I really wanted to do this. Then I realized that if I walked away, then they would win the game. I've had threats that have ranged from being blatant to very subtle hints to back off. So I'm telling anyone that is listening to me and plans on threatening me and or my family to please just kiss my ass. I have had emails and comments saying, I listen to your show regularly and I do not believe anything you say. My question is to that person is, why do you continue to listen? Don't listen, move on. Are you scared that you might actually believe? Or are you just someone that cannot see beyond your own teachings? Either way, just move on. Nothing or no one is going to stop me speaking my truth or helping people to find theirs. I plan on vigorously seeking it out and telling everyone that will listen what I feel the real truth is. You can target me any way you want, but I'm not backing down. The time has come for everyone to ask the right questions and to ignore the division and the game rules set by the dark. It is time to seek and speak your authentic truth. It is time to fight back. Do not be afraid to stand up for what you believe, no matter what people think of you or how they talk about you. Do not hide who you are. Be proud you are seeking what is real and be authentic. Let no one or nothing bring you down. Live your life with purpose and believe that all is perfect in the universe. As we play this game of chess, let's no longer be the pawns in the game. Let's set our own rules and not let them win. Do not buy into all the things that you're being told about everything. Make sure that what you see and what you hear feels good to you. Do not buy into all the distractions and plots that make you fail. See yourself as healthy, successful, and living with abundance. Tell all the haters, the dividers, the liars, and all the people and things that continuously make you feel bad about yourself in life that you're not going to be true, that you are going to be true to your beliefs and that you will seek the truth and not buy into a game that you can never win. Stop giving away your precious energy for their buffet. Stay strong and hold your ground. I was watching a scene from the 1976 movie called Network. This is where the evening news anchor gets on live television and tells everyone he cannot stand the politics, the crime, the suffering, the war, etc. anymore. He tells everyone to get out of their chairs and open a window and scream, "I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." Go listen to this scene on YouTube. It was made over 40 years ago and it's still valid today. In fact, it's almost exactly the same things we are fighting for now. So when does the game of chess stop? It's up to me and it's up to you. I wish each and every one of you happiness and blessings. My hope is that you can all live your truth and speak it and use it to change the game plan and create a future that you so deserve. I want to thank you for all your support and kindness you have shown me, Chris, and Joanna. It is so appreciated, and most of all, it gives us the drive to continue what we are compelled to do. Much love to all of you. Joanna?
Thank you, Katrina. That was lovely. For me tonight, I only wish to really bring up one topic, and that is that full disclosure discussion. I know we spoke of this before and how we said that right now it would cause too much fear and anger that would allow a large harvest of energy to take place, thus allowing the darkness to maintain control. Because you need to understand, they do not intend to give up. These artificial intelligence, they really are to the last breath. The cabal are not the top of the iceberg of darkness. So forget any negotiations from them, because really, they are just pawns too, being played, just like Chris said above when he was talking. So there's multi-layers to all of this. And we have to remember the cabal are not the top of that iceberg. What I want to say is that this chess move, the concept of wanting full disclosure now, is still on the table. It is still the chess move being played. In fact, what we understand is that there will be further cries to demand it. Full disclosure now, even potential organized protests. And within that plea will come the acceptance of the ones who will have initial problems adjusting to the information, but they can adjust. Humans are resilient, blah, 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 bullshit. Because they want your consent that it is acceptable to have this collateral damage, because they must have the consent for this particular harvest to occur. And this is their tactic on getting you to consent to it. Do not consent to the allowance of any human's energy to be harvested with any disclosure. Do not agree that any percentage of populace is expendable. Do not consent. Would you really be willing to line up people to a firing squad? Because there is no difference. It is killing all the same. So think about what I've just said. Can you really say that you can look at another human being and saying you're expendable? It is fine for your energy to be harvested so that I can go ahead and move on now. Can you really do that? And I will tell you now that for those who have heard what I have just said on a soul level, when you hear this in the future, and you will, it will now make your stomach turn and your soul ache, because you now see the truth of what's going on. We are not purporting that a 100-year disclosure is acceptable. No, absolutely not. This is far too long. But an immediate disclosure is also not acceptable, because it will not give people the freedom and sovereignty they desire. It will just give the darkness the energy to continue on their mission, which is to the last breath. So we need to do it in a way that gives no energy to the beast, and that will take a bit more time. Many have questioned us Well, how can the galactics just sit there and watch this? And my question back to you is, how do you know that this is what they're doing? It is true that they cannot violate your free will. So we have all struggled within this mess, not knowing to declare our sovereignty, to break loose ourselves. So on a personal level, nope, it may not appear that they are doing nothing because you may not be able to see it right where you want it the most, in your own pocketbook or your mind. But how do you know they do nothing? Do you think they show you the playbook they have? We have told you that many of these galactics are right here in this illusion with us. Yes, they act as guides, but they are here too experiencing it. We have told you that they have stated that they had a role in it, in some of this. And so does that mean they wipe their hands of it now? We are on our own in trying to set things right again. Do you really think that they have abandoned us and things that they created as well? We also told you that they possess greater technologies, warlike technologies, because there are aspects that we do not understand, that they need these technologies for protection. So let me tell you this truth. This is what we have learned. So is above, so is below. And it is true on 3 levels. There are battles in the sky still going on, unfinished warring between those of the light and dark, just like on earth. And there are political uneasiness and tribal conflicts that go on below our surface, just like on earth. No one area is perfected yet, but everyone is still growing. These are things completely unseen by most humans, but they are very real. Battles occur, negotiations begin, and continue to grow unity, and dissension still abounds. This is a reality that is hard to swallow, but it is our understanding of the truth. So no, these galactics are not just sitting around a TV monitor watching us 24/7 like a reality show waiting for us to wake up. They are quite busy at times with their own unfinished wars and unity issues. So how does this relate to tonight's topic of what is going on now? Well, let me tell you. We can honestly say, to the delight of the galactics, that they report that the light is currently winning. It may not seem so right now, and some people may be feeling extra hardship or extra pressure and be a bit confused. But what you're feeling right now is the desperation of the darkness, because the light actually has the upper hand. And the reason why is multifold and involves above, us, and below, each accomplishing what needs to occur on each level to bring us to a better place. Yes, we are in a very important times of human existence, but so are they. We are all more the same than any one of us cared to admit at times. And what does winning mean? It means that there was a period of time that the current beliefs and co-creative abilities of all concerned would either have a cycle of domination and control repeat, or we would break free into unscripted times where we can co-create something new. That time is now. So what the guides are in such jubilee over is that we have indeed entered unscripted times. Yes, there will still be desperate actions from beings who will not give up. And it will take a while for the cascading effects of some of the all-forward battles to trickle into the subordinate controlled infrastructure. But a milestone has been reached with the highest potential for good to finally prevail. So now we must really bring our sovereign selves forward. More and more of us must become unscripted, which occurs when we are our authentic selves living in the moment. So without getting into too many specific details, because that will take hours, and we will talk about these specifics in due course, let me tell you how you will begin to feel the difference now that some of the oppression has and is currently, as we speak, being dealt with. And for some of us, it will be great relief because of the desperate bombardment we've been feeling as of late. But as we go into summer, look for the following. Number one, better clarity of thought. We have been told that people will feel their minds have calmed a bit and they can think with more ease and have time to ponder and thus develop better discernment and hone in more on what interests them. So look for this in yourself. And number two, losing the desire to get caught up in drama. Yep, the grips of programming that keeps people embroiled in day-to-day saga is lessening, although it will take time for the infrastructure to start to change. They're running on programming too. But what you're going to find is what happens to you. You may find that you lose interest in some of the political drama or other dramas that are playing out, which means you may start to remember and focus on those things that bring you joy. So these are the couple of things that you should look for in yourselves that we have been told that some of the all-forward issues that you never see that have been being dealt with and how it is being done for your benefit to help you right now. So over the next few months, watch for these things. This is our understanding. However, this does not mean you can drop your self-protection. No, you can never do that. As we have said before, what we need to do is go to the end and dream what it will all be like in a better future. Be patient and see all of the subtle disclosure around you. We have all the power to do this and rid this darkness for good. We just needed to know the rules of the game. So, Chris, that's all I have to say. And what do you think the Galactics have to say about this?
Let's see this evening who we got with us. Though recently, due to events that are happening in the solar system as we speak, just like Joanna said, there are wars fought and battles fought out there. And as Michael has said in the past, there are wars and battles fought that no one's ever heard of or seen before. The sight has become a little fuzzy, but I am feeling beings in this room right now that I know for certain are benevolent, and I can hear them. So at this stage, I can say they're at least, by the amount of energy I can feel in this room, there's at least 6 beings in here, maybe 7 or 8. So I'm going to see who is in first in line to speak this evening. And let's see. Looks like my mother will be happy to hear this one. It looks like Henry is here. At least that's who I'm feeling, whose energy signature is in the room. Let's see who else's energy signature is here. Feels like a bunch of Vikings. Okay. There's actually more than 7 of them in here. Okay. Let's see. Who wants to speak first this evening? Okay, Henry. All right. Let's see if he can keep the cursing to a minimum. Okay. Greetings, everyone, this fine evening. You know me as Henry, or some would call me the Large Viking. Anyway, I will state this evening that one of the ruses that you have had in your society in order to manifest, let's say, an apocalyptic timeline is no longer in play. What I mean is this. Your famous splitting of the densities has already occurred on some level, and still continues to do so on the other half of the equation. The original half of the equation was indeed this apocalyptic timeline, this one where everything went wrong, and that the Earth and the immediate solar system were engaged in eternal conflict and battles. However, this timeline was recently, as you would say, decimated and collapsed. In this other reality, Earth was shattered on one side of itself because of an apocalyptic war, because of the fact that the for and against was so harsh and so, as you would say, solid, that it destroyed itself in that reality. It ran around in circles like a dog chasing its tail, or two snakes eating each other's tails in an infinite battle of attrition. In this particular timeline, this had all the manifestation that humanity has put out thus far throughout the multiverse had to be channeled into a singular timeline. Because the fact that your thoughts are things and your thoughts echo across time and space, we had to funnel it into a singular reality. This was an unfortunate thing that had to be done, but your thoughts were far too powerful en masse to not create something of that nature, because of the fact that there are voices among you that still yammer on bullshit about an apocalyptic timeline. I can honestly say this to you all. This timeline has been rendered no more. The decision is, do you perceive your world to be for and against, or do you see yourselves united in one voice and in one song and in one race? Do you decide this, or do you fall back and decide that you must see an enemy over the hillside, always and forever so? This is merely your choice, and your choice alone, dearest humanity. I cannot make it for you, nor would I ever attempt to do so. Thank you. Oh, right. That looks to be, feels to be, I should say, everybody for this evening. Sorry we didn't get to questions, but I was not paying attention to the clock. I don't feel them withdrawing. I can actually hear a hum coming from all of these galactics in here, kind of like an ohm coming from them, raising the vibration in here. So, with that, Joanna, do you want to read the affirmation and blessing?
Sure. To everyone out there, go with blessings and a fortified will to be your authentic self, playing only the games of your choosing. Strive to be happy. So this has been an amazing night. If I do say so myself, I am very thrilled with everything that's been said, and so grateful to the Galactics for coming in mass and providing us with such wonderful and actually joyous news. So for myself and Chris and Katrina, if they all want to say good night, I want to wish everyone a good night and have a great rest of the week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody, and thank you.